race at Monza ended under caution on Sunday due to a series of events that meant officials ran out of time to restart. With Daniel Ricciardo's car stopping at the side of the track 6 laps from the finish and triggering a safety car period, there should have been plenty of time to restart the race. However, because the car was stuck in gear, it took marshals longer than expected to retrieve it, and the safety car picked up George Russell rather than race leader Max Verstappen, causing a further significant delay before the field formed up behind the front Red Bull. There were not enough laps left by the time Verstappen was slotted in behind the safety car to allow lapped cars through and restart at the end of the following tour, as the rules require, with the race ending under the safety car, leaving fans around the world disappointing and eliciting boos from the Italian GP crowd. There have been calls for F1 to reconsider the practice of red-flagged races in such situations to ensure a restart. But Mattia Binitto, who saw Charles Leclerc denied a late shootout with Max Verstappen, believes the rules as they are work, and that the failure at Monza was entirely the fault of the FIA. I don't think it's a matter of changing the rules. The rules have been discussed, largely, especially after Abu Dhabi last year. They were discussed with the FIA, F1 and the teams, and we came to a conclusion that the current format is probably the right one to keep. So I don't think it's a matter of regulations today. I am certainly disappointed for how long it took them to decide, and I think we're not understanding why it took so long to release the cars between the safety car and the leader. Although it took several laps for Ricciardo's car to be cleared, Binotto does not understand why the field could not be bunched up in the correct order much sooner. I don't think safety could be the right reason for the delay. When you are released as a driver, you cannot go simply flat out around the track because there is a minimum lap time, which is set in the regulations. And this minimum lap time is there to make sure that whatever they are running and driving, they're doing it safely. So what we do not understand is, with the current regulations that we believe are right, why it took so long for them to decide. However, while the safety car did end up assisting Max Verstappen to his 5th win in a row, Binotto stated that his belief in the safety car was not due to missing an opportunity for Leclerc to win, but because he reckoned the show suffered as a result. I think they simply need to do a better job for F1, the show. It's not Ferrari and Tifosi, because if the safety car would have ended before, how would the race have finished? I don't know. Max still was the fastest car, and he was on new tyres. But generally speaking, I think we should try to end the safety car as soon as possible and give more track time, race time to all the drivers. The disappointment of today was to see how long it took them to decide, and we believe in that respect the FIA didn't do a good job today, and they need to do a better job in the future because that is not good for F1. Due to a power unit related grid penalty, Red Bull's Max Verstappen started from P7 at Monza, but for the final stint he found himself in the lead and 20 seconds ahead of Charles Leclerc, who had stopped for soft tyres in the hope of catching the Dutchman. Leclerc was making progress, albeit slowly, but the situation changed when Daniel Ricciardo pulled over to retire his McLaren, causing a safety car to be deployed on lap 47 of 53. Both Verstappen and Leclerc pitted for soft tyres as the safety car picked up George Russell, who had pitted a lap earlier. Though Ricciardo's car was taking its time to clear, raising fears that the race would end behind the safety car, and rather than potentially red flagging the race to allow for a sprint finish or returning to green for a last lap battle with the track clear, the race ended when the safety car pulled into the pits, allowing Verstappen to take the checkered flag. Boos rang out from the crowd at Ferrari's home race, a reaction that Red Bull boss Christian Horner can certainly understand. He claimed that the decision went against the discussed principles of making every effort to finish a race under a green flag condition. As a result, even though he believed Red Bull had the win covered in both scenarios of no safety car and a last lap shootout, he claimed the fans had been let down at Monza. We don't want to win a race under a safety car, and that's something we've talked about for many years, that they should finish racing. There was enough time to get that race going. I think they picked up the wrong car, they picked up George Russell. Look, we had the faster car. We would have liked to have won the race on track, not behind the safety car. So we share the disappointment of all the fans because it took away a grandstand finish. I just like to see the race play out. I think we would have won it. If there hadn't been a safety car, we had enough pace in hand on the one stop we adopted. We saved a new set of tyres. We had a new set versus Charles' scrub set, but it was all set for a grandstand finish we didn't get to see. And I think it goes against the principles of what we've discussed previously. So Now, I think the biggest losers today, unfortunately, were the fans, but we need to look quickly to address that. However, while the race result was met with boos from the Monza crowd, Verstappen was also booed during his post-race interview in Parc Ferme, which was conducted by Martin Brundle. The F1 crowd booing hasn't been a common theme in 2022, but it was prevalent during last year's intense title battle between Verstappen and Lewis Hamilton. Verstappen played down the boos directed at him, claiming they were from the Tifosi, who felt Leclerc was denied the chance to fight him for the win when the race ended behind the safety car. It happens. Everyone speaks to me about it with the booing and stuff, but at the end of the day, I'm here to try and win the race, which we've done. Some people, of course, they cannot appreciate that because they are very passionate fans for a different team. It is what it is. I'm not going to spoil my day. I'm just enjoying the moment. However, while the Dutchman shrugged off the booing, Binitto attempted to shift blame away from the Tifosi by claiming that by booing Verstappen, fans were actually booing the FIA and their decision-making. Booing a driver is never great, especially Max, the fastest driver on track and a deserving winner. It's not good. The booing from our Tifosi was more towards the FIA, and simply by booing the winner, it was trying to boo the FIA. The Tifosi out there believed the safety car could have ended and we could have had a couple of laps for the show today for the battles on track. Verstappen moved 116 points ahead of his Ferrari rival with the win and could clinch the championship next time out in Singapore if results go his way. For the title to be confirmed as his for the second time in a row, the Red Bull driver would need to finish first and have both Leclerc and Sergio Perez finish outside of the points. While both of the front-running teams have asked the FIA to change their safety car procedure, Mercedes was not one of them. Following the controversy in Abu Dhabi last season, Mercedes team principal Toto Wolff stated that he was pleased to see the correct procedures were followed, with the safety car regulations made clearer following the FIA's investigation into how the 2021 season ended. The race direction will be under critics, but this time they followed the rules. Maybe they could have done it a lap earlier or let George Russell through, but at least they followed the rules and they accepted the race ends under the safety car, and this is how it should be, or shouldn't have been. On the Monday following the race, senior Formula One team managers and FIA President Mohammed Ben Sulayem met for a summit meeting with discussions about the sport's technical and financial regulations on the agenda. The topic of ending the Italian Grand Prix under the safety car will undoubtedly have come up, seeing as many teams have expressed their dissatisfaction with how it turned out. It is interesting to note that after the disastrous way that the season's finale ended in 2021, an opportunity to change the rules was presented to teams, but a satisfactory solution could not be found, according to McLaren boss Andreas Seidel. Many parties have now suggested that once a race reaches a certain distance, a red flag should be thrown in place of a full or virtual safety car. But whether teams will agree on such a solution is a questionable proposition, given that Mercedes, one of the biggest players and a team with a lot of political clout, will almost certainly oppose a regulatory change. But what are your thoughts? Do you think it's a good idea to put regulations in place to avoid what happened in Monza? Do you think Charles Leclerc could have won if there had been a 1 or 2 lap shootout? We'd love to hear from you in the comments section below. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed the video, please consider liking and subscribing to the channel, and don't forget to click the bell button to be notified of future videos.